This is Crypto Core Radio, discussing the ideas, people, and projects building the new digital economy. Get the latest on blockchain technology and cryptocurrency updates with your host, Lutz.
Hello and welcome to Crypto Core Radio. This is Lutz coming to you live on a couple streams. We're on Airtime and we're on Mixler. And afterwards we'll be on 20 to 30 different, I don't know what they call them these days. SoundCloud, Spotify, Mixcloud. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them out there. I as an SEO person, I put them on everything. Just like my hot sauce. So today we have Qortal. Qortal is kind of an old project, but a new project. The original coin was called Quora, and Qortal is the name of the technology. I'm not sure if it's going to stay the same name, Quora, Qora. We have the mastermind behind it. His name is Croetic. Welcome, Croetic.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So, tell me about Quora. Give me a little history behind it. These are the tokens that are going to be used for the awesome device we're going to talk about later, right?
Okay, so the way it's going to work, basically our team took over the development of Quora in 2016. And since then, we've essentially stripped it, kept a few things that we wanted to keep, and rewrote essentially everything. So it's once again a platform starting basically from scratch again. The only tie that it's going to have with Quora itself is that the holders and the forgers from the Quora network will be able to transition into the Quora network at launch. So essentially we're being rid of Quora in favor of replacing it with Quora, because Quora will not only have all of the functionality that Quora had done in a better way, but also a whole lot of other functionality that Quora didn't have. So essentially the only tie to Quora is that we're allowing the people from the Quora community who were holders and were forgers, or basically for the people who are running proof of stake, which that's what Quora was, those people are able to come over to the new chain and get transitioned in. And the reason I say transition is because it's not a swap. The chain is going to start from zero. So in order to allow these people to transition in, we are going to award them from every block reward. They will get a small piece, and then when they get to 250 to 1 ratio, basically when they get when they had 250 Quora and they now have 1 Quort, that is when it will cut off. So when they get to that ratio, then they are officially transitioned fully in.
Gotcha. All right, that's nice that you're thinking about the old community. When you say it's built on a better technology, what do you mean by that? What was the old technology of Quora and what's the new one?
So what I really liked about Quora when I first saw it, and it was in, I think, 2014 when I first came across it, and what I really liked about it was the fact that it had fully decentralized blogs and fully decentralized websites that could run on the chain. And I thought that was really, really cool. And so that combined with the ability to cross-chain trade and a bunch of other things that were way ahead of its time, I found it to be just a really unique and awesome platform. So we have since taken that technology and rewrote a few things that were issues, like the database before had quite a few problems. We have since completely gutted it and used a completely different type of database that we have custom written. It utilizes a SQL style type database, and we fixed all of those issues. There were some syncing issues, connection issues, things like that we all took care of. But essentially, the entire thing was completely rewritten. So instead of storing data on the blockchain like Quora did, now the data storage takes place on data nodes and the data is hashed, and the hashes of the data is what is stored on the chain, so that it still has the security of being tied to the chain, but it doesn't have the other aspects of that, which you had to put the data up in transactions, which people didn't quite understand, and it was kind of difficult. So that's going to no longer be an issue. Speed of the data, things like that for changing data. Obviously, if it's relying on transactions, is a lot slower. That is no longer going to be a thing. So there's a lot of improvements there, and the data storage aspect. And then also we have added a whole ton of new different things that Qort can do that Quora could not. So we just took the best parts of Quora, made the best parts done in better ways, and added a whole lot of other stuff like the trade portal.
I gather the website creation is going to be similar to IPFS then, because IPFS creates a hash, and then the Filecoin network will have it stored on the blockchain eventually. Similar to that.
Yeah, you can think of it like that. It's going to be very similar to the way that IPFS functions, where you have a hash. I'd like to make it visually a lot more simple in the UI. I want it to be something that anyone can make use of. So I want to kind of make it look and feel more like traditional services that people are used to, just like we're doing with the trade portal aspect. And I want everything to be just as easy as possible. So that's where the custom UI comes in. That's another thing that Quora didn't have, is a web-based UI. It had the web-based features, but it didn't have a web-based UI. Instead, it used this clunky-looking Java UI, which was functional, but it was very difficult to use. So I have since completely replaced that Java UI, and by me, I mean everybody in my brilliant team. And we have replaced that with a very simple and understandable web-based UI that I think everyone should be able to grasp very easily.
All right. So tell me how all the features one by one. What are we besides the website? We know about we could create sites. Well, you know what? Let's go back to those sites real quick. If I were to access my websites, do I do it through a domain name or do I do it through a gateway like IPFS?
Yeah, you can do it in multiple different ways. I haven't got that is part of the phase 3 of the launch. So we're kind of talking in kind of a backwards order. So let me kind of start with how things are going to be launched, and we can kind of go from there, because there are a lot of details that we still have to figure out as far as the data storage. All the functionality and how it is going to function in the back end is all built, and it's all there and it functions, but the rules and the details are still kind of being worked out, and we haven't really dug into all of that quite yet, because the way we are going to launch this, since it has so many different things that it can do, we don't want to overwhelm everybody and try to say, look, this thing does this and this and this and this and this and this and this. Instead, we want to launch the base level of the network, which allows for the minting accounts, which you can think of as miners. It's unlike POS, it's unlike POW, it's unlike POC or anything else that's existed before. It's a new model, and it's called minting, and we're going to launch that first in phase 1, where we will get the network growing. We will get the minters minting and securing the chain and get everything starting to grow and getting bigger. And then once we have done that, the next phase will actually be something we haven't spoke about yet, which is the trade portal, which that's where Qortal got its name. It was initially built to be just the trade portal, but we since decided to add in all of the features that we were going to put in Quora 2 into Qort. So it's going to be a multi-functional platform instead of 2 different platforms. So yeah, if I haven't confused you yet, we can keep going, because I will at some point.
We're getting there. The main reason why I'm interested and I contacted you about this new Qortal is the router. I really want to know about the router. I trust they're making a great blockchain. And until everybody gets to use it, we don't really know what the UI and the UX is going to feel like, right? But until we get there, what really piqued my interest was this router you're telling me about. The router is Tor. It goes through Tor, I believe, right?
It does.
It provides
Basically,
minting, like mining. Like, tell
yes.
me about the. Tell me all about it because I really want to know more.
Yeah, for sure. So, to pair hand in hand with the software platform that we've been developing now, well, in ideation and development for over 4 years now. So it's been quite a while of us coming up with these ideas and then figuring out how they're going to work, and then actually getting them developed. We have also developed a hardware device that will go hand in hand with this. We're just calling it the Qort device Gen 1 for now. And that device is now listed as a pre-sale on Bitcoin Talk. So we are doing a pre-sale for this device, and what this device is a multifunctional network security device, and also a full node and minting node if you enable that. For the Qort network, it will secure every device behind it against any traditional threat of the existing internet, as well as provide you with a gateway to what we're referring to as the Internet of the Future that will be built on the Qort network. So this device has a bunch of services that it itself offers, and it also offers you a gateway to get default access to the Qort network and all of the services built there, which every single service on the Qort network is without any central control whatsoever. So it's a totally different idea as far as what most people have been doing. They like to say that they're fully decentralized, but in practice, we come to find a lot of them are not. In our case, we have made sure that every aspect has no central authority. So this device is meant to make it so that people can set this thing up really easily, plug it in, turn it on. They can use it as just a node if they want to. They can use it as a router if they want to. It has a Tor gateway by default built into it that I was using yesterday to download torrents, and it was working amazingly. I have a prototype here in my hand right now with the newest case design that has the Qort logo on it, and it's going to be lit up, and it's going to look all awesome when we're fully complete. And I will have the final image, I think, tomorrow when the hardware dev finishes that.
You were the guy causing all the congestion on the network yesterday?
Yes, potentially.
Does it do I2P?
We can essentially put any sort of functionality that anyone suggests into it, as long as the functionality they're suggesting has an open source repo that we can access. So that's another thing that I like to talk about, is the fact that this is all built with community contributions. It is all built based on the contributions of the people who are interested in it, right? So our team is just a team that's there helping to facilitate things, and we've got some amazing developers that can basically build whatever we want. And any suggestions from anyone who is either an older or a newer member of the community and just comes in and suggests something, we will take it into consideration, and then we can add that into the default install, or we can explain how to set it up, and you can do it yourself. That's another beautiful part about it, because it's all open source. Every aspect, both hardware and software, everything we're doing has no closed source and no central control.
Very nice. A lot of people I know love that.
The default stuff that we have on it now can be found on the announcement, and I can show you the link for that announcement, and we can point people that direction so they can get more details about it. It has a bunch of pictures of the stuff. It has videos of it minting on the testnet for Qort, so that we can prove we've actually built some stuff and not just talking, and everything else that's necessary there. So
while you're talking, could you do me a favor and just place a link in the general channel for I know we have Wolf here
definitely
with us today. I really didn't invite anybody. It wasn't meant to be a live show. That's why we did it on the gun like this. But you get a picture of it, the router, so people could check it out. And the link to where to get one.
Absolutely, I'm doing it right now.
Cool, man. So this sounds like a too good to be true type of scenario, honestly.
Yeah, it really does, and that's the whole idea, right?
I mean, like I feel like, I just walked into the ultimate, strip club, and all I have to do is say I'm on blonde, double D, you know, 40 legs, and boom, here you go. They just give it to you.
Well, I've been in the crypto space for quite a while now. In 2013 was when I came into it, and I saw everything that was going on, and I saw the possibilities, and I met a bunch of different people, and I started talking to everybody and figuring out everything I could. And what I came to the conclusion of is that there are a lot of really good projects, and there are a lot that could be good, and there are a lot that have certain flaws that I wanted one project to address. And so coming across all these things and seeing the things that I liked and that I didn't like, I kind of started putting together this idea. And from there, this idea grew and grew, and we ended up taking over the development of Quora and gaining that technology and having a base to start with, and then gutting it and writing everything that we needed. And being a completely custom platform is another thing that a lot of people don't do, because for one, it's freaking hard, right? We didn't start with a clone of another coin. Yeah, sure, we started with Quora, but we ended up rewriting almost every bit of it anyway. So it's basically another completely custom platform. There is no other chain that is like it. And I wanted it to be just that. I wanted it to be something that could literally do anything that I have ever wanted a blockchain platform to do. And I wanted it to be done all completely decentralized. And so that was the main focus, right?
How much money has been invested in this project so far?
Me personally, I have put easily $200,000 into development and an uncounted amount of hours. It's been me and a team of about 8 other people who have put ridiculous amounts of time and effort and money into this thing. And we have done it with basically nothing coming back from it yet, because when we took over Quora, the reason we were able to take it over is because it had been delisted from its last exchange, which in the minds of people online means that it's dead, right? And so, yeah, we have gotten essentially nothing back out of this yet. We are building this because we wanted to. We are building this because we like the ideas. We think it'll be amazing, and we hope that other people also think that. So,
and how long have you been building this for?
We took over Quora in 2016, so the actual development of this started around then, but we had been thinking of ideas and such before that, so I like to say it's been over 4 years for planning and coming up with everything, and then actually getting the development started, and now to the point where it can launch on December 1st, or very close to December 1st.
Let me tell you a couple of my dreams, all right? How possible is it to have a Napster 2.0 created? So or like a Vids or an Atmos, like a real one, not the crap one. So what I'm saying is, if I wanted to create a website where I could share videos on, and maybe even set up a request system for people to get videos, how anonymous would I be, and is that even possible?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. Because of the way we redid the data storage, like I said, I haven't figured out all of the details on exactly how every aspect of this is going to work, but I know it's possible. I know that we can now host many other things that were not possible to be hosted before when the data was on the chain. So now we can have people use their extra storage space and extra computing power to host server-side type applications as well.
Okay.
Sorry, my son is over here bothering me.
That's okay. That's okay. That's what kids do. Mine cries all day long. Sometimes I hear him crying, and he's not really crying. It's creepy.
Yeah. But anyways, yes, it is definitely possible to put up a website. And to answer your question about anonymity, it's only tied to your key or your name that you register on the system. You were asking about domain names earlier. Essentially, in Quartz, there's something called name registration. This is another thing that did come from Quora, where you register a name on the chain, and that name can be used as a username. It can be used as a way to send money and receive money and send assets and receive assets and whatever else instead of your long wallet string. And it's also used as essentially what would be a domain name on the chain. So you register that name, and then you are the owner of that name on the chain. So in the case of Quora, to get to that website, you would type 127001 in the port and then / your name, right? Same idea with how we're doing it now, and the only tie is to that name. So if you register that name and you name it yourself, and you want people to know that it's you, then that's one thing. If you don't, then you don't have to, right? Like, you can be as anonymous as you want to be.
I would set up a Crypto Core radio account, or if I want to stay anonymous, I would just set up a Lutz account, right?
Yep,
or even
exactly.
more anonymous, just a string of numbers, right?
Sure. And the hosting of everything is done on every node that decides to be a data node in the network. And so that is, how anonymous it's going to be, right? So the whole thing is that without central authority, there's no one that you have to prove yourself to, right? So that's the whole idea. So yeah, you can be super anonymous if you want to be, or you can not be anonymous if you choose that route as well, right?
Okay. So that would be behind the router. I heard that you were saying, I think you said, there's actually applications within the router itself?
Yes, and the default ones are listed on the end. There's a whole lot of default applications that are already on the router itself, so it's not just a typical router. It has a Nextcloud installation. It has the default Tor gateway. It has an on-demand Bitcoin wallet for the ones that we're going to have that'll have a hard drive because Bitcoin is so large. It has tons of stuff. A TV streaming service. Obviously, it's a Wi-Fi access point. It has OpenHAB for smart home suite, where you can control your whole smart home devices. It has VPN connectivity. We decided we might even put a Minecraft server on it. It has tons of stuff. It has a thing that'll back up all of your computer systems. It has tons of stuff. A torrent server, and anything you can think of, man. Anything that's open source, we can build it into it. What the default services I listed, those are all there in the one I have right now in front of me. It's just an incredible little device. It's only a 5-watt device. So you can mint, you can earn your rewards for supporting the chain without running anything other than a 5-watt device.
Is it possible to have it flash the firmware on a current router and get everything up and running that way? So not just so you don't have to use the device exactly. You could use another router. The way a lot of these
I know what you're saying, like DDWRT, OpenWRT. Right, but the problem there is that those devices are not necessarily open source, right? So what we have gone with here is instead of using something like that, where you can use some like partially open source if that device hardware, we have used a totally open source board. So if you wanted to do this yourself, that's totally possible. All you've got to do is pick up an Orange Pi Prime, which is the Gen 1 is built on an Orange Pi Prime. You buy that board, and we will provide the downloads for the firmware that we've created, or you can build your own if you're gung-ho and you're badass like that, and that's that, right? Like, everything we're doing, like I said, totally open source. So we are going to give access to our firmware. We are going to give access to what these things are made of. We are going to give anybody the capability to build them on their own. The cool part about it is that right now the Qort network is going to be basically the only network that's capable of doing the things that we are going to be doing on it. So by default, if they build one of these themselves, they're going to be supporting our chain anyway. So it just benefits us overall and everybody who's part of the system, right?
Gotcha. How does it compare to EOS? Because I know when you sign up to EOS, you have to give a whole bunch of information that you could lie about, of course. Is it similar to like the EOS?
No. I honestly haven't used EOS myself, but anything that's asking you for any sort of personal information, I tend to not trust. No, we don't do that. We will be asking if you're coming from Quora, And if you are, then you'll have to import your seed so that you can get what you're entitled to on the Qort network. And we're going to ask you what you want your default name to be. And I really don't think there's a whole lot else.
If I were to relate this to another project, what project would it be closely related to? And I'm thinking Filecoin, which isn't even out yet.
I honestly can't really compare it to anything. What I like to call it is the infrastructure for the internet of the future, right? I don't think anybody else has gone quite as far as we have with what their platform is going to do. The trade portal, which is the main part, we haven't even really got into yet, and that is another project that I saw John McAfee talking about, that he wants to build an actual DEX that's actually completely
he wants
decentralized.
to do everything, that guy, but he never
Right. So we've got that. We've got the Filecoin aspect as well. We've got a completely new idea behind powering and running the blockchain. It's just unique. It's a totally unique thing.
Okay, very cool. So let's see. How if I were to want to get some coin, do I mine it? I mean, how does it work if I wanted to get involved with this? How do I get involved? I mean, do I just buy one of these devices, plug it in, and boom, I'm like minting, or like how does it work from nuts to bolts?
Yeah, for sure. So okay, the way that the minting is going to work is, the whole idea behind it is you're going to support the network and you're going to get rewarded for that support. So you have to basically prove yourself as somebody who's going to be supporting the network, and then continue to prove yourself supporting the network in order to be a minter, right? So at first, the way it's going to work is you essentially attain a sponsorship from another level 5 or higher account or a founder on the system, because it's all brand new, right? We've got to get it out there some way. You'll get sponsored by one of them, who will then prove you. Initial time will be only about 5 days. Once you prove yourself for 5 days, which is just running your node, proving that you're running your node. Once you've run your node for 5 days and proved yourself in the sponsorship, you can then become a level 1 minter. That's another thing that's different, is it's got a leveling system behind this. So the leveling is not only going to gain you influence on the network in terms of voting and making decisions on voting proposals, but also it will give you more of the block reward every block, regardless of the block finder, as you level up, right? So you are gaining more reward and you are gaining more influence as you continue to prove yourself a viable node on the network, and a minter who is, keeping a full node running and helping the network to keep growing.
All right. So I just have to get a node. So
Yep.
I'm still a little puzzled, but I have to get a node.
You install the software basically, and then you will get a sponsorship from any of the founders or anybody else who's already level 5 or higher, which in the beginning there will be some, because the people coming from Quora will get between a level 1 and level 5 account, depending on how many blocks they forge during a specific time in the Quora chain. Okay. So there will be other people to get sponsorships from. Initially, I'm kind of going to leave it so that people have to get involved in the community, so that they're going to have to actually talk to somebody if they want to become a minter. I like that idea because it gets people involved. Later down the line, we're going to change that. And there will be basically a page you can go to where, if you want to become a minter, there's a list of people who are looking to sponsor minters and a list of people who want to become minters, and they can pair each other, right? Initially, though, I like the idea of, since this is going to be a small community that launches into one that grows much larger, I want people to kind of get involved and get talking to other people. If they want to become a minter, they let people know, and those people can help them do that. So that's the idea behind the very beginning of it, right?
Is there any way people could game that by maybe putting up, 50 nodes, and then, little by little leveling each one to level 5? I mean, is there a way to game that, or is some
right?
mitigation you have in place?
Yeah, we thought about that. Initially, there's going to be a couple different methods that we're using, but those methods are also going to be evolving as time goes on. We have another idea. It's going to take a little bit of time to implement, but at first, the limitation is going to be on the creation of the minting accounts. So each founder and each level 5 or higher can only sponsor X amount of people at a time, so that you cannot gain a whole bunch of accounts at once. It's just not going to be possible due to those limitations. Later on, we're going to implement a method of proof of capacity that's going to be utilized to also help with that verification. But yeah, it's not possible to create a bunch of minting accounts at once. So that limitation there alone is gonna help with that at first. But we have that POC idea and a couple of others that we're going to be implementing post launch.
Oh, you're talking burst, bro. Proof of capacity?
Yeah, but a different type of proof of capacity, right? Yeah, something similar to that, and only utilized for this specific purpose. It'll all be done in the back end. People won't even know what's going on. But
you're giving me a boner, man. I got a lot of hard drives.
Oh yeah, well, you're going to be wanting to be a data node on the network then, because our idea for proof of capacity is, instead of proving nonsense, you're going to actually be able to prove that you're hosting real data. And because you're proving that, you're going to get rewarded from the people who are putting data up there in various ways. I haven't figured out all of the details on like private versus public data and so forth, and how much it's all going to cost in fees in the network and whatever. But basically, the data nodes are going to get rewarded for storing data. So yeah, and you can use all your hard drives to put real data on it. It's going to be neat.
Nice. That sounds great, dude.
Yeah,
it sounds like a great project. I'm glad I stayed awake 48 hours so far to talk to you.
Yeah, and I honestly understand that there's a lot to it, and I understand that I sometimes confuse people by getting into certain details and so forth, but you can go to the Qortal website, Qortal.org, and all the useful links for anything that's going on, like the wiki that has all of the details of the platform that we've got so far, and well, not quite, because I haven't put them all up there yet, but and all the useful links are going to be on that website for now. Another thing that we are going to be doing is actually making the website and the GitHub repo on the platform itself. So that's another thing. We're going to be hopefully creating a decentralized GitHub that we can also allow other projects to utilize as well. So that's one of my first projects that I want to build on the hosting aspect of it.
Oh, very nice, man. I really love I love everything you're saying about the openness. And all the privacy and the security, and that's I live for that kind of technology. That's why I like Pirate, and I like Pirate Chain, and yeah, well, that's about it. I think just Pirate. But, all the other ones, like
I've always liked Monero. Totally, I get it, and my ideas that we helped implement into this, with bouncing it off of all of my really intelligent friends, is to make sure that there is never any central control over the aspects of this platform. And that was my main focus, is I want this all to be based on contribution and without central control.
Well, Monero still has a mixing mechanism, but Pirate is like a total black box when it comes to anonymity. And,
no, they don't use mixing. I don't think they have. I forget what they call it, but
it gets severed, man. It's a ZK snark sapling.
No. That's not. Monero does not use that. They actually have their own. Ring signatures. Yeah, ring signatures. Right. Exactly.
But that's so the owner of Monero, Fluffy, not owner, Dev, I think, Fluffy Pony.
Fluffy Pony.
He said himself on Twitter that Pirate has more privacy sets. I don't know what that means, but has more privacy sets than Monero. And then Zuko from Zcash said the same thing publicly.
Really?
So Pirate is the top.
Well, then maybe Pirate should be one of the first ones we list on the trade portal then, huh?
We wouldn't be going out of our way, to say things like we are the most anonymous coin for no reason. And then then there's a new update that might be coming out soon that'll completely make the setup, debate that people have about it, trustless. So it eliminates the old, and it'll be a trustless setup, and that's it. It's head to head with Monero, because that's the only thing Monero has on it. Is that it was a trustless setup, right?
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah. That the
that's
trustless
why I'm in it,
aspect
man.
is
I
really
love it.
big for me.
Yeah, it's big for everybody, but also you got to think. I think it's called the Zen of Tao or something like that, the ceremony, and it's a lot of it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible. Of course, there's always that small possibility it's possible, uh, but almost impossible, right? But listen, I'll take the technology however I could get it. I like to stay on top of my technology. Um, so just a little feedback, guys. How I know uh, Mr. Croatic over here is back in the day when I started mining Burst coin. It was about 6 years ago, I think. I got my first 2 5 terabyte hard drives, which was like the biggest ones at the time, and I needed to get it set up. I was in Burst for a little while. I was watching it for a while, like I do, and the guy named Burst Dev disappeared, and then Croatic stepped up to the plate, and I believe for a year or 2 years he carried it. He carried that project. Actually, if it wasn't for Croatic, that project would probably be dead right now.
Yeah, I think probably so. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
similar idea to what I did with Quora.
yeah. But you're one of those people on the DL that does great things for crypto, and never get the recognition. Speaking of, like you see that there's is he still in channel with us? No, he wasn't, but there was a guy in the channel with us previously. His name was Fox, Wolf. I'm sorry, Fox. He likes foxes, but Wolf. He likes wolves too. He's the guy that created the most advanced Litecoin mining. Uh,
Yeah, I know him.
you know him?
Yeah,
He's a he's got his
he's cool.
quirkiness to him, but he's a great guy.
No, I've never had any issues with him. He's a cool dude. I definitely like him for sure.
Yeah, and it's people like him that never really get noticed by the mainstream at all.
Right.
It's like great innovators and great people that put a lot of hard work into crypto, and never get noticed.
And the thing is that I'm not really looking for like notoriety out of this. I'm looking to build the most awesome platform that we can.
Well,
And I think that when we see this launch, people are they're gonna like it, man. And I want it to grow in a way that is natural. I don't want like big huge promotion type things going on all the time, because I think that kind of cheapens it. I want this to grow because people are talking about it. I want this to grow because people like it. And that is, our goal here is to launch this thing, really impress people with how easy it is, even though it sounds really complex, and really impress people with how everything doesn't require anybody to be over your shoulder. It doesn't require you to deposit your coins in order to trade. You just put them in your local wallet, and then you can trade across chain. And no data that's going onto a central server that's going to be looked at by whoever. This is all totally encrypted and stored on a network of nodes, all of your peers. So this kind of thing is really important to me, and I really just want to have this amazing platform for people to use, and I really hope that people end up loving it as much as I know I will, and just using it, man, and that's it.
Nice. Hey, if you could get Pirate on there, bro, I would
We can.
really be stoked. I've been following Pirate for a year and a half now, and nothing has come besides this project. There's actually a hybrid type project that we just started talking to. Well, he's also weird, but his name is also Wolf. But he has this great UI, like this wallet. It's so beautiful, like the one from Waves,
Yeah, wait till you see ours.
It's and then but then he doesn't have the back end, so
Right.
so it's going to be like a hybrid. So Pirate in the back end. I mean, I could explain more, but I probably shouldn't. but that's it. That's it. So far, nothing innovative has come. I'm getting sick and tired of developers coming out in projects and saying, "Oh, I don't have time for that." Oh,
Right.
I have a job, dude. It's been 3 fucking years.
Right.
Uh, or devs. Oh, we're working on it. We're working on it. I mean, there's a project called Atmos out there that I've been hoping that would be amazing, but unfortunately, they took the route of EOS, and it's like
Yeah.
4 years now. I've been waiting, bro. 4 years.
And with ours, I mean, we've been developing it for a really long time too, but we didn't start talking about it until very recently. So we have been just putting work and work and work into it, but we aren't telling people and trying to get people to give us money way beforehand and da 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 and any of that. All we're doing now is that since we're about to launch in less than a month, now we're talking about it because now obviously we're going to need some people to check it out and tell us what they think and get involved in the community and help us out and and that's how we're doing all of it. The development is being currently assisted by our team, and we're kind of leading the development right now, but the project is bigger than us. So we can't say that we own this thing because we don't. And I don't like projects that claim ownership over the blockchain or ownership over anything really.
Right.
Blockchains are not
Yeah,
to
it
be
should be.
owned. And so, yeah, Pirate, as long as it's not an owned chain that somebody's claiming that they own the whole thing or anything like that, I don't see any reason why that couldn't be one of the first coins that we list on the trade portal. The only
Wow.
thing is that we literally have to build in the support for it in the core of course. So we're not like going to list just any willy-nilly coin because it's some centralized exchange and it's really easy to do. We have to literally build support and write it in Java to support in the core of Qortal. So we want projects that are long term. We're looking for only projects that are long term, only ones that are going to live and continue
We
living
have
and
we
totally
have
open
devs.
source.
We're all everyone that works on it right now, like me. We don't get paid. We're just doing it because
Right,
we love the
exactly.
project. It's just community members, and we have a developer you could talk to if you want help implementing.
Yeah, I think we should definitely do that. And then, collaborating the communities at the same time and getting both people to pay attention to both different things is only beneficial for everybody. So, yeah, it's awesome when projects are able to run that way. Of course, I've been paying the developers out of my own pocket just so that they can continue to work on this full time, right? I can't ask them to just not make money and keep working. I said, look, I can get some money for you and make sure that you can work on this thing full time, and I've done that, and I paid them not nearly what they're worth, but they're good friends, and they're doing this thing, and they're excited about the platform, and I really think that once people see how easy it is, and the registration for getting an account on it, it takes less than 2 minutes. It's basically click next through a few things and put in a name if you want one, and you're done. And I really am just excited about both the ease of use and the incredible functionality that this thing is going to bring to the table. And I think that when other people see it, they're going to be excited too.
Cool. If you have any other links you could put in the general to the website, and more importantly, if I'm not going to be able to explain it to a dev like you can. Uh,
Right.
so like something a dev could look at to understand,
So yeah,
like a
all of the
GitHub maybe.
links on the Qortal website. There's a link to the not the GitHub, to the wiki that we're putting together that has a lot of the information on it. If they want more details and they want to see the repo right now it's not really super public, but when we launch, obviously it will be. But I can give them access if they're a developer. I can show them where that repo is if they want to look into it. All the links for the Discord and everything else is there, so they can get in direct contact with me or anybody else on the team. And so yeah, the main website has all the useful links, and I'm going to continue to keep that updated so that they can go to that one place and kind of get all the useful links there.
Do you have a cool name for your court device? The court router?
No, right now I'm just calling it the Court Device Gen 1. I didn't really go into the whole making a name for it thing
Proetic
because
and
honestly it's
router,
all open
bro.
source, so you can build one too. It's not.
Proetic and router. It's a crowder.
It's no, no, just no.
All right. It wasn't good. If I keep thinking, I'll come up with something. I just need some sleep.
I mean, yeah, we could definitely give it a name, but I wasn't really focused on that. I was more focused on making sure it was the most badass device I could possibly.
That's good. So it's only being sold on Bitcoin Talk. Uh,
Yeah, right now it's
have
in the
you?
pre-sale phase. So the people who purchased the pre-sale are going to be ones who are going to get first access to the new things that we develop. We have 4 other versions of this thing that are going to come out. They're going to get the lowest prices. And also, if they're a person who wants to donate to development on top of purchasing one, they can get a pre-enabled minting account. They will come on the device. Basically, they'll set up a key when they do their setup, and we'll have a key for them that will automatically enable them to either level 1, level 3, or level 5 minting, and that saves you a lot of time. Because to get to level 5 is going to take at least 6 months. So that will save you a lot of time, and it'll give you a bigger chunk of the reward right away. So we are looking for some people to help us out with some funding. If they donate, we'll give them the device. We'll give them first access to any other device, and we will give them access to a pre-enabled minting account. Plug it in, turn it on, you're making coin. So that is a unique thing too.
Awesome. That sounds great, man. I love it. When's this gonna go live? What date are we looking at?
We're aiming for December 1st. It should be within a week of December 1st, if not December 1st itself. There are a few things we're finalizing on the UI and some testing we're finishing on the device. The pre-sale for the device is live now. I have like 9 people who have already paid for theirs. So that can be purchased at any point. But the software and the blockchain platform itself will launch on or around December 1st.
Cool. All right, bro. That sounds great. I love the project. We're going on about an hour now.
Yeah.
I like to keep it short. But you're great job. You've come a long way. I've known you for a long time, so I trust you. I mean, I don't know what else to say. You blew me away today.
I can't wait to show it to you, man.
Everything's open source. Everything's got privacy in mind. Everything's got decentralization in mind. I mean, it could incorporate other communities. It's got apps built into an actual external device. I mean, there's so many cool. You know, it could do a Filecoin could do. I mean, it's almost like the dream come true.
It's the infrastructure for the internet of the future. That's exactly what I call it because it's literally that.
Awesome, man. All right. Thank you for coming on today. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Very well. How much caffeine do you drink?
Surprisingly, none. I'm just naturally this way.
It's amazing. So, everybody, this was Qortal or Court, which
Qortal, Court. It's like portal with the Q instead of the P, right? Because the Q is from Quora. So yeah.
And check him out when you get a chance. Go to the Bitcoin Talk, and if you're interested in getting one of those devices, definitely get one. And test it out, man. I like testing out new toys. I love having toys. This is Lutz. I love you all. Signing out.
This has been Crypto Core Radio. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Tell your friends so they can be among the first to learn about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency advancement in the new digital economy.
All right. I'm going to shut the recording off, bro. Give me 1 second. I'll edit the show later. So
we could probably cut back some of that, edited out some of it because I go on and on sometimes.
No, that's good. That's good. It's you know what? It's better than not going on and on. You know, it's
right.
Better than somebody just coming on and just talking like this because
Yeah, and I guess it's just the fact that there's so many things to this. It's kind of hard for me to like just say one thing without like leading into another because it's insane how much shit this can do. I didn't even think that the devs were going to be able to do some of this shit that I've come up with and that my partners and I have come up with and they surprised the shit